Good evening. The meeting is now called to order. This is the Community Development and Urban Planning Committee meeting for Thursday, May 9th, 2024. I am the chair, Councilmember at Large Maria Cabrera, and at this time, I will call the roll for those members of the committee. First, those that are present,
Councilwoman Gita Fields, present.
and the members that are online.
Present.
Nathan Field, okay.
Present.
Councilman Spadola. Anyone else online, council members? Anita, anybody else? Okay, not hearing anyone else, we're going to go ahead and proceed. Oh, and Councilmember Bracy. Any other council members that are not on the committee that are online? Okay, well, thank you everyone that is here today, and thank you for joining us. The first item on our committee is a resolution authorizing the mayor to file with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development the federal fiscal year 2024, city fiscal year 2025 annual action plan, including funding for the Community Development Block Grant Program, Investment Partnership Program, the Emergency Solution Grants Program, and the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Program, a substantial amendment to the federal fiscal year 2021, city fiscal year 2022 annual action plan, including funding for the Home Investment Partnership's American Rescue Plan program. I am the sponsor of this. However, if someone is here to speak to this from the administration, you may proceed. Joining us is Director Robert Weir. Just introduce yourself and we'll proceed.
Thank you.
And the lovely young lady joining you, introduce yourself as well. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bob Weir. I am the Director of Real Estate and Housing, and my
Yes.
colleague.
Yes, and I am Nicole Sammons Johnson. I am the Senior Program Director. Please excuse me, I lost my voice, so hopefully you can hear me.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to this resolution. I would like to have an opening. I'd like to make an opening statement and talk about the annual action plan timelines and what has gone before to get us to this point of the budget. And I'd also like to report out that this year is a little bit different. Is that we have a substantial amendment. There were some questions about that. I'd like to make sure that if there are any unanswered questions, I can help with those too.
Thank you. Proceed.
So as far as the 2024 annual action plan, the timeline, we had a first public notice that was advertised in the News Journal and on our webpage in January of 2024. This first public meeting series, which was 2 meetings, were held live and virtually on January 18th, and these were basically technical assistance for the attendees. So what we did is we had a PowerPoint deck, and we went through the uses of the funds, the eligible uses, and some of the goals that the city has as far as with our 5-year consolidated plan. Those meetings were attended by 13 individuals representing, in the in-person meeting, 13 individuals representing 13 organizations, and 11 attended the second meeting that was via Zoom. The RFP for these funds were released on January 5th of 24, and the deadline for response was February 9th of 24. The Real Estate and Housing Department received 26 applications for CDBG, 6 for ESG, 7 home applications, 4 HOPWA applications, and 3 home ARPA applications. Now, the home ARPA funds are a one-time grant. There was some question as to why do we need a substantial amendment, because the council had passed a substantial amendment in January of 23. That substantial amendment in 23 allowed the city to apply for those funds. This substantial amendment is tied with this budget and the recommendation where those funds go. As far as the external application requested a total of $4.8 million. Now that is plus the city programs, that is the home repair, the rehabilitation, the infrastructure, the public facilities, and the administrative costs that are eligible activities for these funds. The home ARPA, as part of the 2021 annual action plan, substantial amendment is $1,000,007. The actual entitlement budget is $4,023,761, and we actually just received those numbers on the 8th of May. So this work we were doing was under estimates. We took all the RFPs, we reviewed them for eligible activity, and we reviewed them with a committee that consists of representation from Real Estate and Housing, the Mayor's Office of Economic Development, the Wilmington Housing Authority, the Housing Alliance of Delaware Continuum of Care, and City Council. We sent letters notifying surrounding communities, and we sent a letter to the Newcastle County government on April 24th of this year. We had a second round of meetings and public notices, and we made available the draft action plan, which is advertised in the News Journal on the 25th of April, as well as on the Real Estate and Housing website. So if there's any one that is listening and that would like to review this document page by page, it is available on the website. Our second round of public meetings, and this is a series of two, we had a meeting at noontime today in the council chambers, and this City Council's Community Development and Urban Planning Committee meeting is our second meeting of today, and that is oversharing, might be called, because we're only required to have two public meetings. One of the things that I would like to point out to the committee, and I think this is really, really good news, is that this budget represents people and affordable housing. When we talk about the outcome, we're looking at, from just this year's budget, 130 new affordable rental units to be constructed. We're looking at 11 rental units to be rehabbed, 80 homeowner units to be repaired. Over 2,900 persons will benefit from proposed infrastructure improvements. That's curbs, streets, lighting, trees.
What was that number again? I'm sorry.
2,905. We are, in this budget, we are looking to benefit over 260, that's 265 persons will benefit from homeless prevention activities. 912 persons will, and that are homeless will be provided overnight shelter. 115 homeless or near homeless households will benefit from the tenant-based rental assistance, rapid rehousing. 3,000 homeless or near homeless households will benefit from public service activities. 349 persons will benefit from public service activities for eligible youth and families. 66 households with persons living with HIV/AIDS will benefit from tenant-based rental assistance and rapid housing, and there'll be 16 households with persons living with HIV/AIDS that'll be provided housing. Oftentimes, I know we look at these federal funds, and it's we're trying to tell the complete story by saying this is really the number of people that are going to benefit from these. And what we do as far as in the Real Estate and Housing Department is that we not only set this up in the budget, but then we report on a yearly basis to HUD as far as our completion of that. It is all, well, not all, but the majority of this is through our community partners. And we appreciate what they do and thank them publicly, because for this kind of assistance to be moved into the community in 1 year, you need a lot of hands, and you need all pulling in the same direction.
This is very impactful. Yeah, a lot of bodies are being helped here.
Yes.
Just want to recognize that Councilmember Oliver has joined us. Thank you for joining, Councilmember. At this point, are there any questions from the council members that are present here? Councilmember Fields? Any questions from the council members that are online, any of the committee members, and then any other of the council members? Any hands raised? Okay, not seeing any. Let's just say thank you for all the work that is being done. Very excited about this, because we already know that housing is an issue in Wilmington, and when people ask, what are you doing about it? It's good to have these stats, and thank you for breaking it down, because it's saying how many bodies, how many folks are actually being helped in households in different areas, youth, families, HIV, rapid rehousing, and, you know, the program that we have to help homeowners with their home repairs. Because neighborhood stabilization, I believe, is something that we all agree has been a focus of this administration, this city council, myself personally, Councilmember Brigida. We were out and about again in her neighborhood this morning, and seeing the transformation, what happens when you invest in housing and making sure that people have safe, affordable houses and nice neighborhoods to live in. So thank you for all the work that you do. Since this is a resolution, it does not need to be voted out of committee. So at this time, we will move on to the next piece of legislation. And thank you
for presenting.
Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
presentation. We appreciate that. I know how you feel with your voice. That was me last week without a voice. So the next item on the agenda is ordinance 24-021, an ordinance to approve the removal of a portion of Wilson Street located between East 12th and 13th Streets and two unnamed alleys located between Wilson Street and Clifford Brown Walk from the city official map. The sponsor is Councilmember Oliver, and since she has joined us, Councilmember Oliver, would you like to add any information to this piece of legislation? You may proceed. Or anyone
Thank
who's here
you.
that could speak to
Thank
it.
you, thank you, Chair. No, you pretty much said it all. This is going to be, as you stated, a portion of Wilson Street between East 12th and 13th Street, and two unnamed alleys located between Wilson Street and Clifford Brown Walk, from the official map. And this goes back to Kumba youth up there, the building, and all the work they've done with trying to provide the youth in the community with a gym so they can have their own gymnasium. So we've had several meetings about it. Well, we've had one meeting. They've had several meetings, but that's what that is.
Great, thank you. And we do have someone here from the administration who's going to speak to this. If you could please introduce yourself, and then you may proceed.
Thank you very much. My name is Elliot Larkin. I'm Deputy Director of Land Use for the Department of Land Use and Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Larkin, and you can proceed to tell us a little bit more. I know it's just the logistics that we have to discuss, and then we can move on.
Sounds good. So tonight I'm here to present the results of Resolution 1-24, which was approved by the City Planning Commission on March 5th, 2024. On September 28th, 2023, the City of Wilmington received a request from Peony Associates, Inc. on behalf of PS #5 LLC, hereafter the applicant, to remove the 1200 block of Wilson Street from the official city map. The applicant owns 37 parcels totaling approximately 1.74 acres, situated on the block, bounded by North Walnut, East 12th Street, Clifford Brown Walk, and East 13th Street. The intent is to reconfigure Wilson Street as a private drive to facilitate the construction of a youth development facility. The department also requested that 2 3-foot and 4-foot wide unnamed alleys on this block be removed from the site. The final street removal plan will require approval by City Council ordinance. Slide 2, please. This slide contains a rendering of the proposed Youth Development Center taken from the applicant's petition letter to the Public Works Commissioner for the removal of Wilson Street. On January 22nd, 2024, the ZBA, Zoning Board of Adjustment, approved the necessary variances to construct the development of the community center on the site. Slide 3. This slide is an aerial view of the current conditions of the block, bounded by North Walnut Street, East 12th Street, Clifford Brown Walk, and East 13th. The yellow outline illustrates the 37 parcels owned by the applicant on the right, which currently serve as a parking lot, ball courts, and a small grassy area on the left for the adjacent community education building. Next slide. The subject parcels are located on a block that is split zone, with the northern 147-foot-long portion of Wilson Street closer to East 13th, rezoned R3, or single-family row houses, and the southern 153-foot by 5-inch long portion of Wilson Street closer to East 12th Street, which is zone C2, or secondary business centers. The 20 row houses situated along the eastern side of the 1200 block of Walnut Street, adjacent to the western boundary of the subject parcels, are not a part of this application, but are zone C3, or central retail. The backyards of the 20 row houses, which are adjacent to the existing ball courts, will be renovated with new surfaces and equipment, and the grassy area will be converted into a playground. Next slide. This slide illustrates the applicant's vacation request for both the 1200 block of Wilson and the two 3-foot and 4-foot wide unnamed alleys on this block. It also illustrates the 37 parcels that will be consolidated into one parcel through the Newcastle County Department of Land Use process. The comprehensive plan for this area recommends that the city or its partners implement an equitable investment strategy for civic voices, civic spaces like parks, pools, libraries, and community centers. A survey from the comprehensive plan of this area revealed that 39% of residents want new and expanded youth programs. Therefore, the proposal to remove the street and alleys for the purpose of the Youth Development Center is in conformance with the comprehensive plan. Next slide. The slide highlights the city-owned and privately owned portions of the 1200 block of Wilson Street proposed to be removed from the official city map. And it illustrates the pair of 3-foot and 4-foot alleyways that are proposed to be removed from the official map, currently located on privately owned property. These two alleys were paved several years ago as part of a development for the existing surface parking lot. The engineering records coordinator in the Department of Public Works found that the southern segment of Wilson Street, measuring 30-foot wide and connecting onto East 12th Street, is privately owned by the applicant, and the northern segment of Wilson Street connecting to East 13th Street is owned by the city of Wilmington. And the ownership of the 3-foot and 4-foot wide alleyways situated near the intersection of East 13th Street and Clifford Brown Walk is unknown. The fire marshal's office had no comment regarding the proposed removal of the 1200 block of Wilson Street or the two unnamed alleys. Next slide.
Question on the alleys real quick.
Yes.
Those are like the alleys that give people access to the back of their homes.
Yes,
And since we are not going to be using that as homes, then everything will be one big parcel.
that's correct. And the homes were previously demolished. It's currently a surface parking
Yep,
lot.
surface. Okay, great, thank you.
This slide illustrates the proposed final footprint of the 40,262 square foot Youth Development Center on the subject block, adjacent to Clifford Brown Walk, East 12th Street and East 13th Streets. The yellow highlighted portion shows the reconfigured Wilson Street as a secured private drive to facilitate the youth development facilities construction, including the ball court, a playground area, and a 4-car parking lot, which will be on the left. The green and blue arrows indicate relocated stormwater and sanitary laterals, respectively, and they will be connected to the main under Clifford Brown Walk. The red arrow identifies the existing sanitary sewer line underneath the former Wilson Street to be abandoned in place. The proposed 30-foot wide utility easement will be established along the reconfigured secured private drive. The Commissioner of Public Works reviewed the request to vacate the bed of Wilson Street that runs between East 12th and East 13th Streets and generally supports the removal. It is to be noted that before the building permit is issued by the Department of Land Use and Planning, Public Works will need to remove and approve any changes to the water main within Wilson Street and its location. They will also review and approve the sewer relocation and prepare a record of the 30-foot easement protecting the water main that will be running through the old Wilson Street. Regarding vehicle and pedestrian traffic, Wilson Street is a minor local street that supports the immediate neighborhood. The Director of Transportation has no issues with the proposed street removal. Wilson Street is a southbound one-way street within the city's Upper East Side. The roadway width is approximately 20 feet wide within a 38-foot wide right-of-way. Additionally, there is sufficient roadway network surrounding Wilson Street to effectively handle the increased vehicular traffic. The Transportation Division of the Department of Public Works supports the request of vacating the 1200 block of Wilson Street. Last slide, please. The Department of Land Use and Planning provided the City Planning Commission with a report summarizing its review and findings regarding the street removal application. Subsequently, the CPC approved Resolution 1-24, recommending that City Council conditionally approve the application of the removal of a portion of Wilson Street with the conditions of the preliminary street removal plan submitted by Peony Associates on behalf of the applicant. This proposes that the city remove the privately owned segments of Wilson Street and 2 unnamed alleyways, and found that the proposed private access drive serving the Youth Development Center will not negatively affect traffic circulation or access to the public utilities. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Great. First, let me recognize that our president, Councilman Trippy Congo, is on the call. Thank you for joining us, Mr. President. And I'm remiss if I do not recognize our Commissioner of Land Use, Jeff Starkey, who is here with us today. Thank you. And at this time, are there any council members on the committee that have any questions?
Yes, yes, thank you, Chair. I just would like to know the date that this is going to be on the floor, because we have a meeting at Howard, and the residents need to hear from the Planning Commission because they haven't heard from them. I mean, I spoke to a lot of them, but they need to hear from planning. So, you know, I'm not in a bad predicament that they never heard from the planning department. So they have a meeting on Tuesday, the 21st. So I'm hoping that this is not on the floor before the 21st because I won't be able to vote for it. So they do need to hear from planning. Someone from planning needs to come to Howard so they can hear their voice.
Thank you for that information. Any other questions or concerns or comments from the members of City Council? I understand that we do have some people who have joined us online. Are there any questions from the public that you would like to ask? Okay, so no one has their hand raised. So this is an ordinance that has to be voted out of committee. And Councilmember Oliver, is that meeting on a Tuesday or a Thursday? Is it before our next council meeting or afterwards?
They said the pretty sure they said the 21st.
Okay, so, all right, so at this time, I don't have a date here where it says it's going to be on the council meeting, but let's vote it out and we'll work out that detail. So at this time, I will take a motion to vote ordinance 24-021 out of committee, and it would be held at an upcoming council meeting, date to be determined. This ordinance
Thank you.
is to approve the removal of a portion of Wilson Street located between East 12th and 13th Street and 2 unnamed alleys located between Wilson Street and Clifford Brown Walk from the official city map. Can I get a motion? and a
So
second?
moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been properly moved and second. All in favor, respond with an aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, it has been properly passed, and we will come up with a date when this will be on the city council agenda. Is there a timeline or anything with this that we have to stick with?
No.
Okay, so we're good with that. Okay, so,
I'm sorry, one of the,
oh, did you have questions from the public on this particular one? Oh, no, yes, please, please. I'm sorry, we already voted it out, but go ahead, your comments will still be welcome.
Well, this, really just a comment. My name is Linda Jennings. I'm the CEO of the Community Education Building. Thank you for hearing and thank you
for joining
for
us.
your support of this project. Just on the timing issue, so if, I don't know, if we could get a decision in May, that would help us in terms of the rest of our financing for the project, so we can move the project forward on our timeline.
Okay, so our meetings are the first and third Thursday. So if this is going to be met the end of the month, we'll have to discuss the particulars because the sponsor obviously has concerns and would like there to be a public meeting. Has there been any engagement with the public that?
Yes, we've had several community meetings at our things. We have mailed out letters. We've dropped flyers around throughout the East Side community, and certainly continuing and willing to have more.
Have there been any concerns that have come up? Has anyone expressed any concerns with these streets and alleyways being removed?
Not with the alleyways. There has been, to us, concerns raised around traffic. And when we explain that the balance of this, the safety of the students in terms of crossing that road all the time, 'cause right now we use just the court, the basketball court. With the facility, it was recommended by several people, architects, folks who do this work, that we block that street from through access. And so there's ways to get around. And then there was concerns about parking, but actually this will prevent the buses from parking and parents from parking on the local roads. It'll give them a place to come in and get off the out of the traffic. So in balance, this felt like the safest and the best for the community to do.
And I understand you had mentioned, Commissioner Larkin, Deputy Larkin, that 39% of the community, is this a survey that was done, welcomes and feels that there should be more outdoor spaces for our youth?
Yes, during the preparation for the 2028 comprehensive plan, the future land use had many neighborhood surveys, and in that survey, 39% of the neighborhood said that they wanted youth development in the area. So it complies with the future land use map and the comprehensive plan.
Okay. All right, so then what I would say is this, because if we don't do this in May, the next meeting would be the first Thursday in June. But let's work out those details. I mean, it's already been moved out of committee, and we'll, touch base on when it goes onto the agenda. Is there anyone else that wants to speak to this? Okay, and I'm sorry, should have had you speak beforehand. Raise your hand. Okay, we have our Deputy Marshall Bass Knight.
Yes, Chairwoman Cabrera, I just want to mention that the legislation will be slated for June 6th council meeting for third and final.
Okay, so that will be the date. And then you're more than welcome to comment if any of the parents or supporters want to come and give public comment. We start taking their names, between 6 and 6:30 p.m., and they can give a 3-minute comment, in favor of the plan. Of course, people can come and also give if they oppose. And no one from the public has raised their hand to comment? Okay, well, great. So this, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is ordinance 24-022, an ordinance to approve the major subdivision plan submitted by Vandermark and Lynch, Inc. on behalf of St. Cyprian Holdings LLC, and to authorize the removal of a 0.17 acre segment of right-of-way located at the terminus of East 8th Street from the official city map. The sponsor is Councilmember Oliver. Would you like to speak to this? If not, Deputy Larkin, will you be speaking to this as well?
I will.
Okay. Councilmember Oliver, you have first take if you want to say anything?
No, I'll let,
Okay. All right.
Mr. Larkin speak towards it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Deputy Larkin, you may proceed.
Okay. So tonight I'm here to present the results of Resolution 2-24, which was approved by the City Planning Commission on March 5th, 2024. On December 14th, 2023, the City of Wilmington received a request from Vandermark and Lynch on behalf of St. Cyprian's Holdings LLC, hereafter the applicant, which proposes the removal of a 0.175 acre unimproved segment of East 8th Street from the official city map. The applicant owns 2 parcels of land adjacent to the street stub, known as 1225 East 8th Street and 1320 East 8th Street. The purpose is to allow the applicant to consolidate these 2 parcels and construct a proper driveway apron leading to the development site, which would allow a transition from East 8th Street into a proposed parking lot serving 3 proposed warehouses and 1 proposed laboratory building on the site, to be known as Evidence Management Center, headquarters of a fire investigation company. The applicant noted that a 50-foot wide portion of East 8th Street, an unimproved right-of-way, protrudes approximately 135 feet into the properties. Developing this site will present more difficulty without the street removal. Next slide. This slide is an aerial view of the current conditions on the East 7th Street Peninsula, identifying where a portion of East 8th Street dead ends into the applicant's parcels. These parcels are two remnants of the former Wilmington Industrial Park, developed beginning in 1959, but subsequently abandoned. The yellow outlines illustrate two parcels owned by the applicant, which currently consists of vacant, unimproved land. The development site is zoned W2, or waterfront commercial manufacturing, and warehousing and laboratory buildings are permitted as a matter of right. This slide illustrates, next slide, please. This slide illustrates the site plan that, if approved, would allow construction of a parking lot and evidence management center headquarters. The research indicates that the city of Wilmington owns the subject right-of-way. Currently, the two adjacent parcels are vacant and covered with gravel. East 8th Street exists in a deteriorated condition along this portion of the East 7th Street Peninsula. Next slide. This slide is derived from the CityWorks GIS database and illustrates the existing combined sanitary, sewer main, and water lateral, both of which extend slightly into the subject parcel known as 1320 East 18th Street, but they are both inactive. The Commissioner of Public Works reviewed the request to vacate the portion of the street at the terminus of East 8th Street and generally supports its removal. It is to be noted that Public Works will need one to review and approve any changes to East 8th Street water main or its location, as it is recommended that the plan at 1320 East 8th Street be abandoned if there will be no use of it. 2, review and approve the sewer plan. And 3, prepare the record of a 30-foot wide utility easement protecting the water and sewer mains on the parcels if necessary. Next slide. This slide shows the parcel vacation plan and highlights a 0.75 acre terminus stub of East 8th Street proposed to be removed and, if approved, will accommodate the driveway apron leading onto the parking lot serving the Evidence Management Center headquarters. The Director of Transportation has no issues with the proposed street removal. This short expansion of roadway serves no vehicle or pedestrian traffic currently, but only for water and sanitary utility purposes. The Transportation Division of the Department of Public Works supports the request to vacate this extension of East 8th Street to the adjacent parcels. The Fire Marshal's Office has no issues or comments with the proposed street removal. Last slide. There are no findings to suggest that this street removal would be detrimental to the public, as it will not affect traffic or circulation patterns. The Department of Land Use and Planning provided the City Planning Commission with a report summarizing its review and findings regarding the street removal application. Subsequently, the City Planning Commission approved Resolution 2-24, recommending that the City Council approve the preliminary subdivision plan to remove the 0.175 acre terminus segment of East 8th Street on the East 7th Street Peninsula. I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you for your presentation. Any members of the committee that have questions in reference to this ordinance?
I don't have a question, but it's a ordinance, not resolution.
Ordinance, yeah.
Ordinance. I kept looking for the resolution.
Sorry. Yeah, I apologize.
You're
Presenting the
fine.
ordinance that was presented to CPC.
Thank you.
Sometimes we get confused too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Anyone online that has any questions pertaining to this
Yeah.
presentation?
Yes, I would like to say that he did a very good job, and Jeff Starkey has trained you well. I see you. I see you. Thank you. I see you.
It was an ordinance, I did say that. Anyone else from if no other council members, anyone from the public that may want to comment or ask questions? All right, not seeing any hands at this time. I would like to entertain a motion to move this out of committee for an ordinance to approve the major subdivision plan entitled 1225 and 1320 East 8th Street and to authorize the removal of a 0.175 acre segment of right-of-way located at the terminus of East 8th Street from the official city map.
So moved.
Can I get a second? Council members online, I need a second from the committee members.
Second.
Thank you, President Congo. It has been properly moved and second, and the ordinance is voted out of committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it has been voted out of committee, and this will be at a future council meeting. Not sure if it's the next one or the one in June. Thank you. And then we have one last item on our agenda this evening, and that is ordinance 22-037, amend chapter 14 of the city code pertaining to historic markers. And the sponsor is also Councilmember Oliver. Would you like to speak to this, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is an ordinance just to amend Chapter 14 to the City Code pertaining to historical markers. If we don't tell our history, who will? And this is not, and this will be handled through the planning department. So we're not looking just to go around and put up 100 markers within a month or anything of that nature. So we will be, double checking the synopsis to make sure that's in there a certain time frame. But I think this is important for us and especially, for all of us, but also for you, Maria. If we don't tell our history, who will? So this is just for us to put up some historical markers at some historical sites. Like I said, not just at every basketball court. So I think historical markers, it speaks for itself, and the planning department knows what that means. So I just don't want people to think we're going, because your father turned 90, put a marker up, and somebody has a basketball court, put that. So it's for historical markers. It's for historical sites. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And the city does have a process already to place historic markers, so there is some
Correct.
qualifications that these structures have to meet. So it's not just random, but what we're trying to do is, yes, we want to accelerate the process, but also still within the remains of being respectful that it is a historical marker, and to, yes, recognize our history. And I agree, if we don't tell our history, who will? Is there anyone that would like to speak to this other than the sponsor? Any other comments or questions from our council members? Any comments or questions from the public? Okay, not hearing none, we're going to proceed to move this out of committee, and we are going to vote this, and it's called an ordinance to amend Chapter 14 of the City Code pertaining to historic markers, and that is ordinance 22-037. May I get a motion to move this out of committee?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved in second for the ordinance to be voted out of committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. This concludes the meeting of the Community Development and Urban Planning Committee meeting. The next meeting is going to be held on June, let me get the date here. So first, we want to remind you that our next council meeting is going to be the following Thursday, May 16th, and the next Committee Development and Urban Planning Committee will be held on Thursday, June 13th. In the meantime, we're available to you. You can call the City Council office. We want to thank everyone that joined us, whether in person or online. And until the next meeting, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Oh, I need a motion to adjourn.
Before you do the motion, can I say something?
Oh, Councilmember Fields would like to say a few words before we adjourn.
Yes, I would just like to say Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers this weekend, whether you're auntie, sister, big sister, whatever. Just Happy Mother's Day and enjoy this weekend, please.
There is an item that we already voted out of committee, voted out of council. They got the delay to the weather, so I do want to invite folks to come out to the naming of the Mercedes Fields Street, Councilmember Oliver's distinguished mother who did a lot in our community, and that will be held on Wednesday at 11 a.m.
It's my mom, not Oliver's mom.
No,
But that's her
Did I
auntie
say-
though.
oh, did I
But she
say
could be her
Oliver?
mom.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Fields, the distinguished Mercedes Fields.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be, and let me just stop. Councilwoman Oliver, you knew mommy treated you as a daughter, so that was fine. The event is happening May 15th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's going to be on the 200 block of North Madison Street. And we will have light refreshments at William Hicks Anderson Community Center where she worked. So please come, all of you have a story to tell about her. Please let us enjoy her and celebrate her.
Thank you. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Can I get a second? Councilmember?
Second.
Thank you. It has been properly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. This concludes the meeting of the Community Development and Urban Planning Committee. Have a good evening.